Bright Duty. Every student matters.
Hello dear students, welcome to another lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to continue with the fourth passage under your reading skills. We have discussed the first one, which was a poem. The next two, the second and the third one were the passages. And the fourth comprehension that we shall discuss is again a poem written by a very famous writer, very famous poet, Vikram Seth, titled The Eagle and the Beetle. Now, with the title only, we are able to understand that the poem is something about the relationship between the eagle and the beetle. So, let us go through the entire poem once and then we'll try and understand. So, a beetle loved a certain hare and wandered with him everywhere. They went to fairs and feasts together, took walks in any kind of weather. So, the first lines, we talk about a beetle and a hare. Beetle, we all know, is a kind of an insect, a very tiny, a very small insect, and hare belongs to the family of rabbits. So, a beetle and and hare were the best of friends. They loved each other. They kept on wandering. They kept on roaming about everywhere. They went to the fairs. They went to the feasts, that is the parties together, and took walk in all kind of weather. Talked of the future and the past on sunny days or overcast. But since their friendship was so pleasant, lived for the most part in the present. So, they talked about their future, they talked about their past on days which were either sunny or overcast. Overcast, that were very cloudy. So, sunny days, cloudy days, all the time they loved to talk to each other. And their friendship was so pleasant, it was so wonderful, that they always lived in they always focused on the present. Now, before I proceed further, can you notice anything about the rhyme scheme of these, two stanzas that we just discussed? Here, hey, everywhere, together, be, weather, be. So, what is the rhyme scheme of the first stanza? It is A, B. Let us look at the second stanza that we've read. Past is A, overcast A, pleasant B, present B. So again, A, B. So the rhyme scheme that is followed in the entire poem is the same, which is A, B. Okay, let us move on to the next stanza now. One day, alas, an eagle flew above them, and before they knew what cloud had shadowed them, the hare hung from her talons in mid-air. So, one day, alas, unfortunately, there was an eagle that flew above them, and before they knew what kind of a cloud had shadowed them. Now, why is an eagle compared to a cloud? Because of its wings. When the eagle spread her wings over them, they at first mistook it to be some cloud that had covered them. And before they could realize that it was not a cloud but an eagle, the eagle had already got hold of the hare in its beak. Please spare my friend, the beetle cried, but the great eagle sneered with pride. You punny, servile, cloddish bug, go off and hide your ugly mug. So the beetle, it started crying that please spare my friend, please don't take it anywhere. But the eagle was very overconfident, it was full of pride and called the beetle as very servile, somebody who's very small, somebody who's improminent, not required, and said that you go away and you hide in your ugly space, your ugly house that you live in. How do you dare assume the right to meddle with my appetite? This here's my snack. Have you not heard? I am the great god Zeus bird. So the eagle said to the hare that how dare you meddle with my appetite, meddle, interfere with my food. This hare is my snack, and do you not know who am I? I am the great god Zeus's bird. We all have heard in the mythological stories that every bird, there are a few birds or animals that have got their connection to God. Mouse, for example, is connected with Lord Ganesha. Snake is connected with Lord Shiva. So this ways, eagle is God Zeus's bird. Nothing can harm me, least of all a slow, pathetic, droning bird. Here, keep your friend's head. And she tore the hare's head off and swiftly bore. So the eagle continued to say that nothing can harm me. Leave aside you who is so small, who is so sluggish, so pathetic. And saying so, the eagle, cut off the head of the hare. And she, showed it to the beetle also. So in front of beetle, the eagle had done that. His bleeding torso to her nest, ripped off his tail and ate the rest. So what did the eagle do? It cut off the head of the hare, whatever blood came out, that the eagle put that blood into its nest, into her nest, and then the eagle took out the tail also of the hare, and whatever body part was left, the eagle ate that. The beetle stared at her friend's head and wished that she herself was dead. She mixed her tears with dark blood and cloaked his face with clods of mud. So the eagle had thrown the blood that came off the hare's body into the beetle's nest and had thrown his head also there. So the beetle just kept on looking at her friend's head, and she wished that in place of hare, she should have died. And then her fear, she started crying, her tears were mixed with blood, and she covered the hare's head with mud and swore that till her dying breath she would avenge his cruel death, that she would make the eagle pay for what she had performed today. So she swore, the beetle decided that till the time she's alive, she's going to take revenge of her friend's death, and she's going to make sure that the eagle pays for what she had done today. Next day, she slowly tracked the trail from drop of blood to tuft of tail, till high up on a mountain crest she found the huge unguarded nest. So what did the beetle do the next day in order to take a revenge from the eagle? She started tracking the blood droplets. The eagle had put the blood and had taken the hare to her nest, obviously. So she started tracking the blood droplets and the place where the tail was ripped off, and finally reached the nest of the eagle, which was unguarded. The eagle was not there, and it was on the top of a mountain crest. It was on the top of a mountain. And at the hour that yesterday the bird had plunged towards her prey, the beetle with her 6 short legs rolled out the mighty eagle's eggs. So what did the beetle do? When the beetle realized that it was the same time of the day when yesterday the eagle had flown to find its prey, to find food for herself, the beetle, using her short legs, she climbed onto the nest, and with a lot of difficulty she pushed down the eagle's egg down the mountain. So she broke the eagle's eggs. She left at once, but she could hear the eagle's screams of pain and fear. When later she returned and found the broken eggshells on the ground. So after the beetle had done that, she left that place, obviously fearing that the eagle might return. But even after she had gone, she could hear the screams and the cries of the eagle when the eagle found the broken eggshells on the ground. Next day, the eagle moved her nest 10 miles and more towards the west, but still the beetle's scrutiny followed her flight from rock to tree. The next day, what did the eagle do? The eagle, she moved her nest even 10 miles higher and towards the west. But the beetle was smart. She scrutinized, she analyzed the movement of the eagle, and she followed the eagle from every rock to that tree. When finally the eagle laid another clutch, the beetle made straight for the nest in which they lay, and when the bird was hunting prey. So, the eagle laid another clutch, another group of eggs was laid by the eagle. The beetle again reached the eagle's nest, found those eggs lying in the nest when the eagle had gone to find its prey, find its food. With much fatigue but little sound. Fatigue, tiredness. Obviously the beetle was tired, but despite that she did not make any sound, and she again rolled the eggs to the ground. When this had gone on for a year, the eagle, crazed with rage and fear, would turn back screeching in mid-air whenever she would sight a hare. So, when this continued for a year, the eagle now got mad. The eagle was crazy with rage, anger and fear. And the eagle would return back and she would scream in the mid-air whenever she would see a hare. Because this all started because she killed a hare. So whenever she would see a hare, she continued to scream and not touch that hare. The far drone of the beetle's flight shattered her calm by day or night. For weeks on end she scarcely slept. She laid her eggs in grief and wept. So the beetle continued to follow the eagle wherever she went, and it always destroyed the eagle's peace and the eagle's calm. For weeks, the eagle continued to weep, continued to grieve, and could not sleep at all. When what she had feared had come to pass, and her smashed brood lay on the grass. Obviously, every day she would return back, she would see that her her family, the eggs, they laid smashed on the grass. At last she cried, "What is the use of bearing your protection, Zeus, when the small, evil clot of mud has massacred my flesh and blood?" Finally, when the eagle lost all its patience, she started crying, and she cried to God, Zeus, that what is the use? If I am your bird, if you are not even able to protect me, and that tiny piece of mud has massacred, has totally destroyed my family. King of the gods, where may I rest? Where may I safely build my nest? So the eagle asked Zeus that where should I rest and lay my eggs? Here, said the god, here in my lap. So the god offered eagle to lay the eggs in his lap. And so the eggs lay more secure than they had ever laid before. And now obviously the eggs were laid in the laps of God, so they were more secure, they were safer than they were earlier. What in the universe could be more safe than Zeus' custody? So thought the eagle, till one day the beetle saw them where they lay. So the eagle was now quite, she was a little stress-free that now, where else can my eggs be more safe than in the laps of God himself? But one day, our beetle realized and found out the place where the eagle had laid her eggs. And aiming with precision, flung a microscopic ball of dung into the lap of mighty Zeus, who rising spewed divine abuse. So, what did the beetle do? When the beetle realized that the eggs were in the laps of God, it rolled a ball of dung. Dung, we all know, cow dung, the waste which is laid by the animals. So it rolled a ball of dung and it threw precisely into the laps of God Zeus. When God Zeus realized it, he got up from his place because obviously that was a ball of dung and he got up from his place to clean himself and shaking dirt from off his legs unthinkably tipped off the eggs. And when the god was shaking the dirt off his legs, he obviously threw the eggs also on the ground. So the eggs were again fallen. Past hope, the eagle pined away and died of grief. And to this day, they say that eagles will not nest in months when beetles fly their best. And past that, obviously, she lost all hopes, and the eagle became so grief stricken, so sad that she died of that grief. And till this day, it is believed that the eagles never lay their eggs in those seasons when it is believed that the beetles are able to fly the best. But others, not so superstitious, merely assert that fate's capricious, and that the strong who crush the weak may not be shown the other cheek. But those people who do not believe in this superstition that, the beetles, when they fly, the eagles do not lay their eggs, who do not believe in this superstition, they simply assert the fact, they simply emphasize on the fact that fate is capricious. One's destiny is something that we need to be scared of. And the strong who crush the weak, if the strong are troubling the weak, then they should be prepared to bear the outcome of it as well. So, dear students, you saw, though this poem was very big, but it was very simple as well. The terms, the language, the words that were used in the poem were quite simple. And even if you came across a few words which you found difficult, I'm sure getting a contextual meaning of those words was not difficult, right? Reading the lines and then getting to know what they meant is the technique that we adopt when attempting a reading company. Now let us move on to the discussion of the exercises. How does the eagle respond to the beetle's plea to spare the hare? When the beetle requested the eagle to spare the hare, how did the eagle respond? The eagle screamed back at the beetle, saying that she cannot interfere with her snack, with her meal, as this hare was her meal. How does the beetle take revenge on the eagle? So how does the beetle take revenge on the eagle? The beetle would go to the eagle's nest and would roll the eagle's eggs down on the ground. This is how he avenged the death of her friend. What is the theme of the poem? What do you think is the theme of the poem? Now, the theme of the poem is obviously what we've learned in the last two lines of the poem, which says that if the stronger people are going to crush, are going to harm those who they think are weaker than them, then they need to be prepared to bear the circumstances also. They need to be prepared to go through the consequences of the sin. Provide a character sketch of the eagle based on the poem. So I would say that the character of the eagle in the poem can be divided into two parts. The first one was that malicious, cruel, selfish eagle who simply wanted to eat the hare because the hare was her meal. How selfishly and how cruelly the eagle had cut the hare's head and ripped off the tail of the hare as well. But the second side of the eagle came into picture when she started losing her kids, when she started losing her eggs. It is then when she realized the pain of losing someone. Okay, and that is why at the end she died, because she was grief stricken. She did not have any hopes left to raise a family. Explain the following with context. But others, not so superstitious, merely assert that fate's capricious, and that the strong who crush the weak may not be shown the others. As I have already explained to you the last 4 lines of the poem, there are a few people who do not believe in the superstition that the eagles do not lay their eggs when the beetles fly into the, when it is the best time for the beetles to fly. So for those people, the only thing that strongly puts forth the theme and the moral of this poem is that fate's capricious, that one's destiny is what one needs to be afraid of. And if a person who considers himself to be strong believes in crushing and harming and hampering the other person, should be prepared for the consequences, should be prepared for the outcome, as the evil is going to certainly bounce. What is the rhyming scheme of the poem? We have already discussed AABB. Okay? Choose the word in the poem which mean the same as the following. Interfere, meddle, hid, cloaked. Pitiful is grief. Family is brood. Okay? Now choose the word that can replace the highlighted words most appropriately. The letter contained no evidence of tampering. So what is the word we can use to replace evidence? Proof. There is no person who would proffer him the right advice. Proffer? Amit is the best candidate and he is quite proficient in the language. Proficient? Skilled. His stand on the matter is ambiguous. Ambiguous? It is very unclear. Sita is very meticulous about hygiene. Meticulous, she is very careful about her. So with this, my dear students, we come to the end of the 4th passage under the reading skills.